Hello everyone. In this video you'll learn the basic principles of transposition and instrument ranges for guitar, bass, E-flat, and B-flat wind instruments. Concert pitch instruments are defined as having the same sounding note names as the piano, though some of these instruments sound in different octaves relative to the piano. Common examples of concert instruments are flute, guitar, bass, violin, and mallet percussion instruments. Two examples of non-transposing concert instruments are the flute and the trombone, though there are many others. When a flute player reads a C4, the note which sounds is also a C4. When a trombone reads a C4, the note which sounds is also a C4. Note that the clefs are different between flute and trombone here, but this only affects what the player reads, not the sound that gets produced. Examples of transposing concert pitch instruments include the guitar, bass, and the piccolo. When a guitarist or bassist reads C4, they both sound an octave lower, or C3. When a piccolo reads C4, the resulting sound is an octave higher, or C5. If you want a bassist or guitarist to sound C4, you will need to write the note an octave higher, or C5, which is quite high and thin sounding on the bass, but richer and fuller sounding on the guitar. In contrast, non-concert transposing instruments transpose by an interval other than an octave. Examples of these instruments are saxophones, clarinets, and French horns. Here are some good general rules of thumb for non-concert transposing instruments. If a note is diatonic in the concert pitch, it is diatonic in the transpose instrument. If it's chromatic in concert, it's also chromatic when transposed. And the third rule of thumb is to always make sure that you transpose key signatures and melody unless no key signature is needed. When B-flat instruments read the note C4, they sound a B-flat. The trumpet, clarinet, and soprano sax sound a major second lower, or B-flat 3. And the tenor sax and bass clarinet sound a major ninth lower, or B-flat 2. If we want the trumpet, clarinet, or soprano sax to sound C4, they must read D4. If we want the tenor or bass clarinet to do the same, they must read D5. Note that all of these instruments happen to read in treble clef. Notice the key signatures too. In both cases, if the original concert key is C major, we have to move the key signatures a major second up to the key of D in order to do the transposition properly. The alto sax and baritone sax are two common examples of E-flat instruments, although there are others such as alto clarinet. When these instruments read a C4, the alto sax sounds an E-flat 3, and the bari sax sounds an E-flat 2. In order for these instruments to sound a C4, the alto must read an A4, and the bari must read an A5. Note that in this case, the key signatures have also changed to accommodate. Again, note that both saxes read in treble clef, as have all the other non-concert instruments in this video thus far. By now, you might be asking yourself the question, but can that note be played on a baritone sax, given that it's so high? The following excerpt is taken from the book Modern Jazz Voicings by Ted Peace and Ken Pullig. Note that all saxophones have approximately the same 2.5 octave range, though in some cases the baritone sax can play a written A below the staff. The arrows on the page indicate the 2-octave range, which would generally be most suitable for voiced-out chords, given that the source here is an arranging book. The notes to the left and right of each arrow are certainly playable, but may sound potentially too thick or too thin in an arrangement, depending on the musical context. Coming back to our earlier question, we can see now that the bari sax can comfortably play an A above the staff written, as it is well within their range. Note that for trumpet and trombone, the authors of this book recommend an approximately 2-octave range for similar reasons in an arranging context, though depending on the player, these ranges can be extended considerably in the upper direction in the proper context. Finally, let's take a look at 3 common transposition issues that I've frequently encountered in notation software based on my own work and the work of my students. In this example, I created a concert pitch melody in the key of G with the flute. This would suggest the trumpet melody should be a whole tone higher in the key of A. So why did it come out incorrectly? This is because we selected the wrong instrument, trumpet in A, which is actually a specialized trumpet used in orchestral settings and is tuned a semitone away from what we described earlier. Unless we happen to be writing for trumpet in A, select trumpet in B flat as our instrument. Then the melody and key signature will be transposed correctly into the key of A. Here's my number 1 notation pet peeve as a saxophone player, having to read a song in the key of A that isn't in a key at all. Let's pretend that this is an excerpt of a much longer piece that is highly chromatic. For this reason, I wish to use no key signature when creating my music in Sibelius, so I chose the key of C. As a result, the alto sax has a key signature of A when transposed, which doesn't jive with the music at all. Not only that, it creates numerous unnecessary accidentals and makes the line harder to read. The solution in Sibelius is to select atonal, no key, when picking your key signature. That way, all non-concert instruments will end up with no key signature, allowing the musicians to more easily read this chromatic piece. When using computer notation software, it's important to rely on our listening experience and our knowledge of instruments rather than letting the software tell us what works or what doesn't. In this example, I transposed our earlier melody down 2 octaves for the bari sax. Sibelius has highlighted the B, B flat, and A in red, meaning that it considers these notes problematic. As a bari player, I can attest to the fact that these notes are some of the richest, most resonant notes on the instrument. Again, musical context matters here, but as a solo melody, these notes work just fine. For more information, check out the book Modern Jazz Voicings, or Appendix D in the 4th edition of your theory text. Also, if you're writing for a particular instrument and you're not sure if what you're writing is playable, just ask someone who plays that instrument and they'll tell you. Better yet, borrow or rent an instrument when you have some time and learn some basic techniques on your own.